as you know, coming up.
ESPN's march to the PBA World Championship continues with live coverage of the PBA Tar Heel Open from Country Club Lanes West in Burlington, North Carolina. We are down to our final 5 bowlers. First from New Albany, Indiana, making his second TV appearance of the season, looking for his first ever career title, Mike Wolfe. The 1987 Rookie of the Year with 3 career PBA titles, a second-place finish in this season's TOC from Elmira, New York, Ryan Shafer. From Bolingbrook, Illinois, near Chicago, with 3 career titles, one of 15 men to bowl 300 on TV, Steve Jaros. A PBA Hall of Famer with 22 career wins and almost $2 million in earnings from Atlanta, Georgia, Ryan Voss. His 5th all-time with 28 career wins. And today makes his 3rd TV appearance in the last 4 weeks. The defending champion of the Tar Heel Open, it is Pete Weber. Those are the 5 finalists for the PBA event here in North Carolina. Hello again, everyone, and welcome. Dave Ryan and Randy Peterson. Time now for the brackets. Randy, starting with the wild card.
Dave, the wild card match features Mike Wolfe. He's going to look for his first career win on TV as he takes on Ryan Shafer. The first semifinal pits Brian Voss, who won earlier this season in Memphis, and Steve Jaros, who only lost 2 games in match play. Hall of Famer Pete Weber, PDW, waits until the second semifinal to begin his title defense.
Ready now for the wild card match. Second ever TV appearance for Mike Wolfe. His hometown just outside Louisville, Kentucky, and the PBA stops there next week, the Odor Eaters Open. So he'll be about 10 miles from home. Chance to stay in his own bed for the first time in some 2 months. He'll certainly look forward to that. Today, trying for a first ever win.
And a lot better start than his first telecast in Tacoma, where his first shot went washout. He did convert the spare.
He takes on Ryan Shafer. Another TV appearance for him. You saw him at the Tournament of Champions. Gave Jason Couch a great match. 10-pin for Ryan to get things started.
And Ryan Shafer doing something a little bit unusual for him. He's a big power player and he likes to throw the big hook, but he told me last night he's really worked on his straight game. And his straight game got him here today.
Takes out the 10-pin with a spare ball. By the numbers, Wolfe and Shafer, Randy.
Well, you can see a big difference in average, and the reason why Mike Wolfe got here is because his opponents in match play just didn't bowl very well. Very high spare conversion rate for Ryan Shafer because he didn't shoot as many.
Season match play record in 9 appearances, outstanding. No wins on tour, but it's bowled well all season long. In the pocket for Ryan Shafer.
Just inside the second arrow, or close to the third arrow. But again, pretty straight for Ryan, keeping his hand underneath it, controlling change of direction down the lane.
First TV appearance of Mike Wolfe's career came in Tacoma. And he was the wild card, same position he's in today. Told us this morning before the match, I learned quite a bit from that first appearance. Chance to be under the lights a bit and gain some valuable air time as he's got a difficult spare coming up.
Watch the direction Mike Wolfe walks. Now freeze it right there. His approach is going to the left. When you want to throw the ball to the right, walk left. Now watch him fill in the gap right here. The slide goes to the right, gets the arm, the hand tight to the ankle.
Tries to cover, and he's successful. To get here, Mike Wolfe took care of Kretzer, Bob Learn Jr., but lost to Steve Jaros 3-0 in the round of 8, so now he's the wild card. With the fewest match play losses, Bruce Falcon and PBA Rookie of the Year favorite Brad Angelo not far behind. Third frame, Mike Wolfe. Perfect.
And avoiding the open frame on the right lane, the second frame really helped him to make a good shot here. Fourth arrow, that ball's dead packed. A full 5 or 6 boards further left of Ryan Shafer.
Schaefer 10-5 this week in match play. The 5th ranked player, as the march to the World Championship continues, comes in high there, and he's got to cover 3 for his mark.
Again, another power player, and you're going to see Ryan Shafer drift to the left as well. Third step goes left. Since he doesn't drift as far left as Mike Wolfe does, he doesn't have as big a gap to fill in with that slide step.
Without a lot of wins recently in his career, still a very good season. And the key is he is top 8. Trying to get himself into the Super 16 and bypass all the qualifying of the season-ending World Championship. Taylor, Michigan, outside Detroit. We mentioned the 10-5 match play record. He got by Queen, Weiss, and Angelo in the round of 8. That's a best of 5, went the distance.
Brad Angelo, in my opinion, Dave, front runner for Rookie of the Year this year. Took Ryan Shafer the distance, 5th game in deciding game.
Flush in the pocket for Schaefer. He really lets the ball go down the lane quite a ways before it takes off and hits the rail for his hook.
Yeah, and he has a little bit of loft, too, and loft delays hook. I expect him to start moving in. One of the characteristics this week here at Country Club Lanes is the Ola pattern broke down very quick. Even though it's a synthetic surface, the lanes seem to change in a matter of 2 or 3 games.
The Earl Anthony Geico Classic, Wolfe competing in with the wild card. Gets some help as the 7 goes down, but he's still got the 2-8. Strike there would have given him a 10-pin lead. We began the frame even.
And nobody has struck on the right lane yet. Mike Wolfe gets the ball a little bit wide, and then the ball actually loses energy and rolls out. It stops traveling in that left direction. He needs to throw a hook ball into this 2-8 to cover the back pin.
64+% multi-pin conversions does it there on the double wood 2-8. And Mike Wolfe trying to become the 2nd wild card performer in the past 3 weeks to win the tournament after Chris Barnes accomplished the feat in Dallas a couple weeks back. Since the new format started September of 2001, we've had 5 winners come from the wild card spot. Wolfe trying to make it number 6. 5th frame. Perfect ball.
A lot of confidence on that lane for Mike Wolfe. You can tell it just in his posture and his demeanor, and when he gets up on the left lane, he feels comfortable.
And speaking with him today, before the match, it's obvious he's much more confident and relaxed than he was in Tacoma before his first ever show. He was a little bit nervous, certainly.
Part of the learning curve out here on the PBA Tour.
5th frame Schaefer. We're even. Chance for a 10-pin lead with a strike. ESPN in sync shows it to you. Looking for late help. Didn't get it.
And he got it to the same spot Mike Wolfe got it to when Mike Wolfe was on the right lane, and both guys get the similar reaction. The ball just not making it back. Ryan only leaving the 2-pin instead of the 2-8. Perfect on his spare conversions. And he certainly will have no trouble making the 2-pin.
Looks to keep that up just with a 2-pin. The semi-finalist wants to get there. Taking on the wild card. 3 times from this slot. The player who has to battle a wild card competitor. 3 times players have won the championship. Pete Weber in Louisville has done it. Parker Bone III in Kirkland, Washington, and Patrick Healy this year in Kansas City. So it can be done. Wild cards can win, and those playing the wild card in this opening match get to the semis and all the way through to a championship. But it's the extra match. It's not easy. Schaefer works on a spare. 6th frame. Shreds the rack. Adjusting well on the left of our TV pair. We are all even. A wild card match from Burlington, North Carolina. Mike Wolfe, Ryan Shafer head-to-head. Each trying to gain valuable points and win a title in NC this afternoon. ESPN's exclusive live presentation of the PBA Tar Heel Open is brought to you by Odor Eaters. Put Odor Eaters in, kick foot odor and wetness out. By Miller High Life, live simply, proudly, boldly, manly. This is the High Life. And by Cambridge Credit Counseling, find out how good it feels to be debt-free. Country Club Lanes, West Burlington, North Carolina, located in the heart of the Greensboro, Raleigh-Durham areas in North Carolina. 42 Lane Center hosting our event here today. Welcome back, Dave Ryan Peterson. Live coverage of the PBA continuing here on ESPN. Great field with Brian Voss and Pete Weber, a couple of Hall of Famers, but big trouble early on one of our TV pair.
The right lane, we haven't had a strike yet, giving the players some fits. Not really sure why that is. They get practice, but TV lights, TV day, whole different situation.
Look at the oil pattern, see how it's breaking down.
Let me show you what I did this week on the oil pattern. 37 feet pattern A for accessible. Players get there a couple different ways. They can play the straighter line from out, or they can get in like Mike Wolfe is doing and play that deep inside line. When the lanes start to change, the players will migrate towards the center of the lane looking for more oil. The problem is that deep inside line, they don't have a lot of room to move. Who's going to win today? The player whose line does not break down.
Randy, for all the latest news, information on the PBA Tour, head to the Tour's official website at PBA.com. Ticket information for the season-ending World Championship also available on the website by clicking on the Arena Tickets link of the home page. There are plenty of good seats available, but they're going fast at the Taylor Sportsplex outside Detroit. The March to the World Championship rolling on here in Burlington, North Carolina. 6th frame, Mike Wolfe looking for a 10-pin lead. And a 2-pin.
Well, you know, here's the issue. You know, folks at home are watching saying, well, why doesn't he just straighten out his angle? The problem is when you throw that much power, as soon as he straightens that angle out just a little bit, that ball's going to go right through the nose of Brooklyn.
Picks up his spare. Mike still has not watched his TV show tape of his TV debut in Tacoma. I asked him why this morning. Well, he's been on the road 8 straight weeks. No chance to check out the home VCR, that's for sure.
Three spares on the right lane. Not one ball in the pocket on the right lane. Perfect on the left.
He's on the left now. Drifted a little high. He'll take the break and a late trip.
Trip 4. Professional bowler's best friend. Ball drifts in high, trips out the 4-6. Nice break. See if Ryan Shafer can get our first double of the afternoon.
It won't be easy on the right lane. Which adjustments will he make? Looking for a 10-pin lead. That's the right adjustment.
Well, you know, this is going to come down to who made the proper adjustment, and the adjustment that Ryan Shafer just made was he changed bowling balls. Now notice that ball got to that same spot that he left a 2-8 on, but this ball gets back. Higher friction ball, stronger down the lane.
Finally a strike on the right lane. Our first of the day. Now he's over to the left, where he has been more proficient.
And he gets to finish the match on the left lane.
Comes in high through the nose. Just 6 down.
Well, he got the late trip. The 9-pin fell late. But watch this ball bite the lane. Doesn't push far enough right to that spot. Goes right through the nose. Got a nice break of tripping that 9-pin out late. because let me tell you something. The 3, 6, 9, 10 is the hardest non-split spare to make on tour.
Takes out his 3.
If the 9-pin was still there, he wouldn't have made that.
Right. Why is it the most difficult?
The reason why it's the toughest spare to make is because you've got to throw a hook ball into that spare to cover the 9-pin. The problem is you get it a little bit too far to the right. It either goes in the channel or it doesn't hook back hard enough to get the 3-9. A little bit left of that, it chops the 3-9 off the 6-10.
Back to Wolfe looking for his first double of the day. Strike here, he's up 3 pins. 8th frame, Mike Wolfe. Perfect ball. Oh, 60 feet to success for him. These teams hope for success on the NHL ices tonight. Stars and Blackhawks, 6 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And then on ESPN, either the Rangers or Colorado Avalanche. Perhaps you see St. Louis taking on the Minnesota Wild from the XL Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. Either or, depending on where you are in the nation. NHL hockey coming your way. We're leading to the World Championship. They're leading to the playoffs and the Stanley Cup Finals.
And during the promo, I was just going to say, if I was Mike Wolfe, based on what Ryan Shafer did on the left lane, I'm moving in.
Covers the 2 pins. He has a mark. And after finally getting a double, cannot get the 3-bagger. March to the PBA World Championship. Ryan Shafer already in. He's clinched his spot in the top 8 into the Super 16, which means he bypasses all qualifying. And the rest of our 5 bowlers in today's TV show. First place for today's event gets $25,000. The majors are double the points and much more money on the line. Our 4th major just 2 weeks down the road. Success on the right lane.
And isn't it interesting how things work out in our sport? First, they can't hit the right lane. Now Ryan Shafer, last 2 shots, strikes. Now the issue is the left lane. The lane they were zeroed in on to start the match.
With his wife Michelle watching back home in upstate New York. Southern tier of New York State.
We have a 1-pin match with 2 strikes in the 10th frame. Ryan Shafer will be the winner.
He had a strike in the 9th foundation frame. Now the 10th. Flush in the pocket.
Ryan Shafer is going to get his hand to spin around the side of this ball. Now watch his hand at the bottom of the swing. Watch it rotate right there. Now what that spin does, it gets to push the ball to the right and gets it to return. He made the adjustment after his shot in the 8th frame. He is 1 strike and 2 pins away from eliminating Mike Wolfe.
Mike Wolfe shaking the head, still in search of his first ever TV win. Schaefer trying to knock him out. ESPN said shows you. He looked a little bit high and leaves the 4.
Ball drifts just a pinch high, leaving the 4-pin with a spare. He's going to shoot 216. Mike Wolfe would need 2 strikes and 9 pins to win.
Recovers. Now it's up to Mike Wolfe as the pressure is on his shoulders. 2 strikes and 9-pin count to win this match. That'd be his first ever career TV victory. He told us before the match today, Randy, he has learned by watching fellow PBA bowlers, all the TV shows he hasn't been on, about big moments like this. Now it's his chance.
A situation he's never been in before.
Does not respond.
No chance. Too much wiggle when you need it to hook off that spot.
First couple of shots in that lane, he couldn't get it to hook back. This one overhooks.
So Schaefer wins, and he's off to the semifinals. Live and learn, right?
Again, part of the learning curve for Mike Wolfe. Struggling on the right lane.
Ryan Schaefer off to the semifinals to take on PDW. The Hall of Famer. The day ends for Mike Wolfe, but a great week for him as he makes his second ever TV show. We'll see him next week in Louisville, Kentucky. But for now, a couple legends head-to-head. Jarus taking on Brian Voss when we return. 5 left-handers made it to the show at the inaugural Tar Heel Open back in 2001. After beating Parker Bone III, Ricky Ward would take on Jason Couch in the championship match. He would beat Couch to end an almost 2-year winless streak for his 5th PBA Tour title. Fans ready to go this year at the Tar Heel Open. Not far from Greensboro, North Carolina. A lot of energy in the building. Brian Voss, you know you need to win this tournament today and fare very well next week in Louisville to make the top 8, which is so crucial in the World Championship. You've faced big pressure before. Can you do it again at this point of your career?
Well, I think I can do it anytime I stand up here. You know, the lanes are a little tricky today. I'm going to be a little more conservative in my trajectory and just go out there and work real hard.
What were your big keys of the week to success to get this far?
Well, bowling my buddy Norm Duke kind of got me going. That was a really great match. I know some of the fans here saw it. But that kind of put the spurs in me and got me going. And so, hi, Norm. Thanks.
He's a preacher ready, looking for career win number 23.
Thank you.
What a match that was with Norm Duke in the round of 32. They went 7 games. They went the distance. Norm Duke shooting .268 to close. Brian Voss, .289. Norm Duke had him down 3-1. Brian comes back to win that match. Completely different bowling ball than he's used all week.
Double wood.
You can see Brian is more of an old school, more traditional, stylish, straighter player. He can play the big hook at times. He's very versatile, can do a lot of things with the bowling ball with his hand. You heard him say how tricky the lanes were. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Covers the 2-8. First thing you notice, Randy, is the very slow-paced, deliberate style on the approach. His body's more upright. Not so much torque and movement upon the release of the ball at the foul line.
Yeah, and square shoulders. You're fairly square to the foul line versus the power players of today that are real open, high backswings, open, bent elbows, and cocked wrists.
Taking on Steve Jaros from Chicagoland. Gets a late break on his first ball. And that was on the right lane. Bowlers really struggle in that wild card match by the numbers. Jarus and Voss.
And you see Brian Voss with the higher average. He averaged .248 for the match play portion of this tournament. Hence the very high strike percentage and the very high spare conversion percentage. Steve Jaros is attacking the lanes completely different than everybody else, even though Brian's going straighter. Brian's further left than Steve Jaros.
Oh, 10 of the pit. Perfect ball for Jarus.
The deliberate 4-step approach of Steve Jaros. Watch this. Nice and square to the foul line. A lot like Brian Voss. Comes up and out of it just a little bit. But he does that when he's trying to throw the ball hard. And he's throwing it hard today to keep the ball on a straight line. The second round of qualifying, I bowled with Brian Voss. He only averaged .218.
Double wood looking familiar. Again, a 2-8.
Match play, he just lit him up. Brian Voss struggling with reaction. He's trying to go straight. A little unsure at this point.
Trying to keep the perfect mark with another mark. Multi-pin spare conversion. 2-8. Does it again.
And Paul Kaler, our statistician, professional bowler, and myself just looked at each other, and we both said the same thing. Brian needs to move further right. Play him more like Steve Jaros is playing him.
We'll see if he makes the adjustment. Is that on the right lane or both?
Both lanes. Yeah. See, I think when you're going straight, it's not as big an issue.
Match play record. 10 appearances so far in his 21st year on tour. He's had great success. That comes in a tad high, and the 4-pin somehow doesn't get help. And Brian makes sure the pins understand his feeling on the issue.
Now, Brian went light the first 2 balls, so what he did was he got his hand to rotate around the ball a little bit more so it would change direction. And it changed direction just a pinch too hard, and that's what he thinks about the 4-pin.
You think that might make SportsCenter?
Maybe.
I think so. Covers for a single pin conversion as he keeps that number up.
And while we have a moment, I must say happy belated birthday to our producer, Mike Roth. We really blew it last week, Podsy. It was his birthday last Sunday.
It was on the show.
And
we apologize, Mike,
it.
for that. Happy B-Day. Again, Scott Katz, our director, crew, do an incredible job week in and week out. There's some help again for Jarus as he continues his roll with a 3-bagger to start. And a nice lead.
3-bagger, nice.
Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, our entire ESPN PBA crew. Live coverage continuing from Burlington, North Carolina. Tar Heel Open. Jarus on lane 17. Perfect ball. Come on. 4-bagger to start the match for Jarus. 60 feet to success for him.
And as long as Steve Jaros doesn't grab it at the bottom of the swing, that ball will stay on line every time. It's just a question now of how long that reaction will hold up.
It's been a while since Brian Voss has won this year in Memphis. That was his 22nd career win. Made another show in Detroit, but lost pretty early in that one. His sons were on hand watching that day in Memphis. An amazing moment. Gets help there. That afternoon in Tennessee, he had to step up late and throw huge shots, a double, to be able to win the tournament. He knows pressure.
Well, right now he's trying to fine-tune that bowling ball to get it to the 1-3 pocket, and he better hurry up because Steve Jaros is perfect through 4 frames. First in Memphis. The next week, taking on Walter Ray Williams Jr. for the title.
On lane 17, missed the pocket.
And you don't see Brian do this very often, but I think that this was a bad choice for him. I think a bowling ball that doesn't hook quite as much and getting into that spot where Steve Jaros is was probably the right move.
Needed a strike here to be down by a 23 pin. Instead, he covers the mark in his 5th frame. And Jarus now a 33-pin lead, a chance to go up 43 pins with a 5-bagger to begin his match. Slight adjustment, Steve told us today before the match, Randy, on his hand positioning on the ball and the arm swing.
Yeah, he said he was re-gripping it during the swing.
Simplified things. The perfect game continues for Jarus.
And right now, Steve Jaros is really putting a good touch on the bowling ball. He's relaxed his hand to take that re-gripping out, and there's no grabbing. You notice that there was no jerky movement when he got to the foul line, and that tells me that release was super clean. He's got a weak hand right now with a strong bowling ball, letting the lane and the bowling ball do all the work for him.
Great start for Jarus. In his 3rd TV show of the year, 5th in Philadelphia, where our Randy Peterson won it. 2 weeks later in Albany, 5th as well. This one drifts away from the pocket, and the perfect game expires.
And you're going to get a first-hand glimpse of how tough this spare is. But to me, that shot looked slow. And when the ball speed slows down, it gives the ball time to hook.
Sixth frame for Jarus. 10-pin stands and an open frame. Could really open the door for Brian Voss, who just has 1 strike so far in his first 5 frames. That in the 4th. Now, little daylight for the Hall of Famer, trying to come back in the semifinal match and get himself in position to win another title. Burlington, North Carolina. Our event rolls on next. Out of 22 events, including 2 in Japan, we're on number 20 of the year. We've had 18 different winners already. If Pete Weber and Schaefer win today, it'll be number 19, believe it or not. The days in on the road shows us as we march on to the World Championship. Taylor Sportsplex in Taylor, Michigan, outside Detroit. Tickets are available. Log on to PBA.com, and the arena ticket link is your ticket to get to the World Championship. Our days in on the road. Louisville next week, the final non-major stop of our season. We'll see if Brian Voss can take advantage of the Jarus open frame in the 6th. Steve's max score now 264. Can Voss respond? Yes.
And the reason why Brian Voss has 22 titles and I only have 13 is I am wrong again. Instead of moving right and going to a lower friction ball, Brian takes the same ball, moves in, hits it harder, creates more reaction.
Trying to remain perfect. Semi-final matches. With a win in Memphis and win in Detroit in the Final 4 with his respective shows. He's batting .500 in title matches so far this year. Wants to get back. ESPN in 6 shows your perfection for Brian Voss.
And now Steve Jaros is going to feel something he hasn't felt the entire match. Pressure. This is what happens. You've got to get the ball to hook into this spare. You get a little bit too far to the right, it goes in the channel. That time, it was a little bit too far to the left and chops the spare.
On the right lane, off the open frame. That comes in light.
That was not that bad. It's all right.
Overcompensation from the shot on the left lane. The left lane shot, slow. This one, to me, looked fast.
The lead evaporates quickly for Steve Jaros. Can he respond to the pressure?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
I don't know.
Not easy. Spare, obviously, only gets the double wood, leaves the 10-pin. A second straight open frame for Jarus, who had been rolling with 5 straight strikes to begin this match. And now things have drastically changed in the favor of Voss.
And no matter what Steve Jaros does in this frame, Brian Voss can get up in the 8th frame and strike and take the lead.
We talked to Brian Voss prior to this match in the interview about responding to big moments. We know he needs to win here and do well in Louisville, very well, to make the top 8. As the march to the World Championship continues, how about some help for Jarus?
And this is a nice break.
All right.
Ball comes in light, and the old trip 2. Head pin goes to the sidewall, and bye-bye 2. Nice break. Now, let's see Brian Voss, 2 perfect shots, made the adjustment. Let's see if it's the right one.
The strike here, he takes a lead by 4 pins. Just down 6. After a tough start. That's because Jarus had the 5-bagger. Yeah! He knows how to step up.
Hello, ball reaction. You want to get your swing loose and you want to get to where you're making really good shots. Create a ball reaction that looks really good to you. When you know you've got a little bit of mistake area, a little left, a little right.
Foundation frame now for Voss. His sons Josh and Cameron watching closely back home in suburban Atlanta. Would love to see Dad respond. I'd say so. Now a 14-pin lead. Voss is trying to win. These golfers trying to win as well. Later today, join Mike Tirico and Curtis Strange. Live final round coverage of the Nissan Open beginning at 3:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 on the West Coast on ABC Sports. Watch the best of the best, including last week's champion Tiger Woods from Riviera in L.A. Pacific Palisades. 3:30 Eastern on ABC. Jarus has an answer on lane 18.
And taking advantage of the nice break in the 8th frame, the trip 2. But no matter what Steve Jaros does, he cannot shut out Brian Voss. Nice and straight and nice tight line to the pocket.
Big foundation frame strike for Jarus. He's now down 4. He can go back up with a strike.
Had it on cruise control the first 5 frames. He's in a battle now.
Looks for a 3-bagger. Oh! 8-pin.
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, and right there, Steve Jaros just got a horrible break. The bowling ball is going to get to the 5-pin and chop it straight back. The 5-pin normally goes into the 8, and that is an awful break.
Covers. There's the 8-pin he'd hoped for on the strike ball.
Payback for the roll 2.
A mark and count will win it for Voss and send him into the finals. Keep him perfect in semifinal action this year on the PBA Tour. It's amazing how quickly the match can turn around after Jarus had the 5-bagger to begin things.
Got in trouble in the 6th and 7th. Got the nice break in the 8th. Beautiful shot in the 9th. Perfect shot in the 10th. And he got 9.
Voss doesn't watch. Deep in thought. He'll take that break. Good pin action for Steve Jaros on the left of the TV pair. Now it's up to Voss.
Brian Voss with good count on the first ball and a spare and good count. He will win. 227 pace right now. Strike on the first ball. It's all over.
Brian Voss said it was today. He loves the excitement of making TV still after all these years and his great career. Still, the adrenaline rush for moments like this one. Ooh. 10-pin.
And we saw a lot of pocket 7-10s this week. Only leaving the 10. Spare. And how many pins there, PK? Spare 7. Brian Voss wins.
That ball needs tape, so I'm not going to use it.
Brian Voss normally does not use a different spare ball. He uses his release to flatten the shot out. Look out. Look out.
He barely was able to graze the left side of the 10.
This is a high friction bowling ball he's using, trying to throw it straight. And watch this reaction. Oh. Oh.
7 pins for a victory and a spot in the finals. He gets 8. That's what he needed, right at the head pin. And Brian Voss is through to the final round. In search of his 2nd title of the season, he won in Memphis, much like the Southeast. Success in North Carolina for Brian Voss, the Hall of Famer. Another Hall of Famer, Pete Weber, will compete when we return. ESPN's exclusive live coverage of the PBA Tar Heel Open is brought to you by Odor Eaters. Put odor eaters in, kick foot odor and wetness out. By Bayer Aspirin, take it for pain, take it for life. And by Geico Direct, the sensible alternative. Carolina Hurricanes, about half an hour or so away from where we are, playing Raleigh. He's playing Greensboro, much closer. Struggle for Paul Maurice and the Canes this year. All bowlers are trying to get to the top 8 spots to bypass qualifying and make the World Championship Super 16. Danny Wiseman in the 8th spot. He's bowled well this year, and he is the subject of this week's Miller High Life. Get to know them.
Danny Wiseman. I got started in bowling, I was about 4 years old. In my first league at 7, I averaged 119. Man, I was hooked. It was incredible. The first choice was baseball. I played baseball from day one. When I was 9 years old, I was clock throwing the ball over 50 miles an hour. Greatest moment on tour. The Firestone Tournament Champions in '92. And my father was there, and he only had a few months to live. I mean, it was the last tournament he ever went to, or the last time he ever saw me bowl. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not evil or mean or whatever, you know. I'm me. I'm a very generous, very nice guy. The clothing is part of the image. There is one guy, and we're very good friends, that I would love to bowl on TV. That's Weber. Let me and Pete go at it on TV. That would be an interesting show because he can bring in whatever he wants to me, but I don't take it. Cut.
Danny Wiseman will not take on Pete Weber today as he'd like to. He didn't make the show, but Pete is in. And with one more championship, he moves up the ladder, tying Parker Bowling III, 4th place all time. Could have his 29th, and he could, for the first time in his great career, defend a title. He won here last year at the Tar Heel Open. He takes on Ryan Shafer when we return to Burlington next. Who could forget last year's Tar Heel Open when Pete Weber stepped up in the 10th against Roger Bowker, needing only a mark to win. He was faced with a huge challenge.
Door is wide open.
God, kidding.
All he needed was a mark, and he's made it difficult for himself.
What a match, what a moment for Pete Weber.
Pete Weber, why is it so difficult to win, or to win on, not only to win on the PBA Tour, but to defend a title?
Well, it's hard because, I mean, look at the caliber of players you got out now. The kids coming out today are just that much better than when I came out, and they're more knowledgeable and they're hungry, and they don't take any crap off anybody.
I understand. Now, we've seen the players play all over the lane today. What is your plan of attack on the lane condition?
I'm going to play them the same way I have for 4 days now, and it's pretty much deep inside, letting the oil feed the ball to the right, and the drive bring it back.
Thanks, Pete. You're going to need these. Good luck.
Thank you, Randy.
Dave Ryan, Pete Weber looking to do what he's never done before, successfully defend his title.
Randy started wearing those sunglasses because of the glare on the TV pair, the extra lights that are brought in by our lighting specialist, Shot Garden, on the PBA Tour, taking on Ryan Shafer here. Looks for his 4th career title. And Pete said before the match, I'm not going to stop using those sunglasses. Just helps me focus a little bit. Keep the blinders on toward the pin deck and not get distracted as much. And how can you argue with his recent success? 3rd show in 4 weeks, but Schaefer would like to take him down. Here's a 4-pin for him.
Ryan Shafer, 4-pin, first shot, said this lane really hooks. They've only got one spot to go, and that's left. He's going to keep moving in towards the center part of the lane to find more oil.
The 11th on the money list coming into this week. Last week, just 78th in Orlando after 17th place in Dallas, 6th at the U.S. Open in L.A. Pete, though, has been hot. Still said today before the match with us that he feels fried. I mean, he feels like he's burnt out. It's been a long season. Not a good break there at all.
What do you know?
There's a lot of pressure for really the most significant figure in the sport.
4-7-9, ball goes in high. He's going to get the ball to the left side of the 4-pin, slide it into the 9.
We saw him make the difficult spare here last year with a tournament title on the line, and this one early in the semifinal match. Pete's able to convert the difficult spare.
Something about split conversions here at Country Club Lanes. Last year making that ugly split to win. and right now converts the 4.79.
Crowd loves it. What a showman. Second frame for Pete. Little break. Trips out the 4. He'll take it gladly.
Well, that shot there was yummy. Actually a little bit higher than the shot before it. That one strikes. Pete Weber having the higher average. Lower spare conversion. Lots of strikes from both guys. Big averages. It's the only way you got to the telecast this week.
Ooh, get some help. Just the 4 up for him.
Similar hit to Pete Weber's. Here comes the 4-9. And then the 9 gets tripped out. 4-pin to start the match for Ryan Shafer. Perfect single pin conversions.
4th time we've seen Schaefer on TV, and that is a tough open.
Terrible.
Misses.
Hard to believe that this would happen to Ryan Shafer. Perfect on single pin conversions all week long. Whiffs the 4-pin.
No daylight between ball and pin there. Somehow it did knock it over. How does he respond? Close as you're going to come. You miss it. Well, that's not a very good response for him. Ball way light and out of the pocket.
And I saw this all week long. When the middle part of the lane broke down and the guy started to move left, they got to a certain spot where if they threw the ball too far right like that, it would not recover. Got to get the ball to the left side of the head pin, drive it over into the 10. The ball will take care of the 2-7. Yeah, exactly. Misses the easy 4-pin, makes the hard washout. Head pin's going to go to the right. Takes care of the 10, the ball does the rest.
So early on, we've seen some challenging spare conversions, and each player has responded. Schaefer and Weber. Back to Pete. Double wood, the 2-8 again. Tracy is with us again.
Gotta hit the ball.
Frank Cuccione on her right, one of our PBA bowlers as well. Tracy, a bowler herself, knows a lot about the sport.
Yes, she does. And I talked to Tracy last night. I asked her, Tracy, what's the difference between Pete now versus the start of the season? 2-8. She says it was all his confidence. He's tamed down everything. He's more relaxed. So you see what he's done in his matches. Actually knocking out Tommy Baker, 48-year-old Tommy Baker. Great week for you, Tommy, to allow Mike Wolfe to get in. And he's nice success against Ryan on TV. Pete said he's in his comfort zone after working with John Jowdy at the Masters.
He told us today he just feels so relaxed. Excellent execution again from Pete as he knocks them all down in the 4th frame. Second strike of the match.
John Jowdy changed his push away. He got him to push it more up and out versus down, which changed Pete's timing, got the ball at the release spot at a better time.
Bottom of your screen, round of 16 match play results. And we see Dave Traber, Randy's roommate, other PBA competitors, how they did this week.
See this split here? Weber made this last year to win. Got to get the ball over here to the right side of the 3. Throw the 3 into the 4-7. The ball takes out the 6-10.
That's the idea.
Hey, who's that guy?
Real trouble. Not bad, right? Good to see you. Match play again.
Yeah, I snuck in there. Got beat by Michael Fagan, who's about half my age.
After the open frame, he's really struggling. However, he has done an incredible job converting difficult spares. He's 2 for 2 in that department here in the semifinal match. Great shot.
Now watch how far right this goes. Almost goes in the channel. It stays on the lane, and you have no idea how hard that spare was.
Comes down to if you're going to have the open frame, have it early. Happened in the second for him. Pete is working on a strike, though. In his upcoming 5th frame.
Ball changed, looking for his first strike.
Yeah! RFS, baby! That's me!
Not PDW, but RFS for Ryan Shafer. Pete has won here in North Carolina. He's won in Louisville. Throughout his great career. Strike there on the 18th. Speaking of Louisville, that's where we're headed next week. The Odor Eaters Open starting at 12:30 Eastern Time here on ESPN. 9:30 on the West Coast. Don't miss all the exciting action from Executive Strike and Spare Lanes next week, 12:30 Eastern Time. And every week on ESPN leading up to the World Championship. Just a couple weeks down the road from the Taylor Sportsplex outside Detroit as we wrap up this PBA season. ESPN in sync showing you Pete Weber, lane 17 with a strike. Ryan Shafer rallying after the early open frame in the second with some outstanding conversions. Difficult spares for Schaefer. And the emotion running high in Burlington, North Carolina. Who will emerge and make to the finals to take on Brian Voss? We'll find out in a minute.
Welcome back to Country Club Lanes here in Burlington, North Carolina. The Tar Heel Open. You know, in this humble announcer's opinion, some of the greatest players of all time on the PBA Tour have always had fast feet, and Ryan Shafer is no exception, which brings us to our dexter approach. 145-pound Ryan Shafer. Now watch, he gets the fast feet going. He has to get momentum going to the foul line. Now watch this. He's a power player. He's going to get every bit out of each shot. Now he's got the wrist starting to cup right here. There's where the power's going to start. Go ahead and roll. Now the wrist is really starting to bow. At the release, he's going to straighten that line out, kind of like throwing a yo-yo. That's how revolutions are created. Straight up and down finishing position, a lot like Walter Ray Williams Jr.
The subject of this week's Dexter approach, Ryan Shafer from Elmira, New York. I wanted to give a shout out to Eugene McCune, who persuaded Ryan to practice on Monday when Ryan really was tired from the trip from Florida, didn't want to compete out there too much. And loosen up, get a workout in. But Eugene insisted. Ryan Shafer said that helped him get loose for the whole week. Kind of was his foundation for making the show.
I'll tell you what else got him focused was getting into the top 8 on the points for the World Championships. Making the show this week virtually locked him into the top 8.
He's in 5th place right now in the world list. Pete Weber's in 7th. March to the World Championship. They want to get to the Super 16 and bypass the qualifying. Schaefer starting a rally here.
Now watch the difference between game 1, where Ryan Shafer started playing with a different bowling ball. There's the big loft. That ball's going to go out to about the 3rd arrow. Now watch 2 games later. A good 8-9 boards left.
Back to Pete, the right of the TV pair. Perfect ball.
And Dave Ryan, there's a lot to be said for experience. Pete Weber obviously has a lot. He knows how fast the lanes are changing. And you know what? We just came out of commercial, and Pete Weber, to me, looked like he moved further left to allow for the ball to hook more.
Pete wanted to make sure we got a word out to his fan club in Hood River, Oregon today. Nan Notaboom, Tess Lorenzen, Megan Pruitt, Shauna Ramsey, Ellie Bard, Christy Towle, all watching closely. They're teachers in the Hood River school system. Pete has been enjoying their support.
Yeah, that's right.
And he enjoys that too.
All right. Well, remember I said how Pete was more relaxed and kind of just chilling? Well, give him 4 in a row, 5 in a row, and all of a sudden you're going to see the PDW show.
That fan club may make a trip to Detroit. We understand it's in the works. If they're listening, Pete is rooting that on. Back to Schaefer. Only 6.
Can't get it down the lane.
3, 6, 9, 10. or as we call it on tour, the Big Ugly. This ball never pushes far enough to the right again. Got to get the ball to hook into that, stay on the lane. The ball will throw the 6 into the 10 if done properly.
8th frame. Can he get another difficult spare? Yes, he can. Great angle from our crew watching the ball really flirt with the channel.
You hear Ryan said that's probably harder to pick up than that 5-count split he made. The Big Ugly.
Like that.
Have you ever made the 3, 6, 9, 10, Dave?
I can't say I have, Randy.
Okay.
I've had plenty of spares. I don't make many. From the sunglasses of Pete to Ryan Shafer, what he's watching. Gets a break.
Using 2 different bowling balls. Higher friction ball on the left lane, lower friction ball on the right.
Can't keep up with it.
Catches a nice break here, a little high hit. 4, 7, 10, the last 3 to fall. But right now, Pete Weber in the driver's seat, working on 5 in a row.
There's the other 5-bagger. Yes, 6 straight strikes and a 51-pin lead for Pete Weber.
See what Pete's learned how to do on pattern A. And the Cambridge Credit Tournament in Long Island, Pete knocked me out in the round of 16.
That was a week after your win in Philadelphia.
That is correct.
Just 4 pins needed for Pete Weber to the finals. Here it is.
He's going to take on Brian Voss.
The stage is set. 2 Hall of Famers. 2 of the biggest stars the tour has ever known will go head-to-head here in Burlington, North Carolina for a championship today.
I asked Brian Voss. He said he wanted Pete Weber in the finals. When I mentioned that to Pete, Pete said, "Oh yeah? Tell Brian, bring it on. I'm not scared." Whew.
That's the kind of emotion we're going to have in a few moments, folks. Do not touch that remote control. I'll reserve Pete for now.
Interesting side note. Pete Weber and Ryan Shafer both wearing the same shirt. And you know how Ryan Shafer is with his shirts.
Very superstitious.
This one's going in the trash. Thanks, Mike Roth, my producer. Ryan Shafer said that Storm asked him politely to wear it, and he's a company guy. Besides, all of his other shirts are out of the karma, so he's throwing them all away and starting over.
He's wondering where that was earlier in the match on that 4-pin, because he did whiff on it earlier for an open frame that really hurt his chances to win this match, that in the 2nd frame. So a bit of a sarcastic look there from Ryan. As again, he'll go down without a title this season. Still an outstanding week for Ryan Shafer. His bid for his 4th career title continues, but Pete Weber will continue in a moment. Head-to-head with another Hall of Famer, Brian Voss. Tar Heel Open, Burlington, North Carolina. We started out with 52 total titles amongst our 5 finalists. 7 majors, 6 of those belong to Pete Weber. Hockey coming your way tonight at ESPN and ESPN2, a full slate. The Blackhawks and goalie Jocelyn Thibault trying to stop Mike Manano, Bill Guerin, and the surging Dallas Stars. Then at ESPN, it's either the Rangers or Avs, Wild or Blues, head-to-head, either of those games, depending on where you are. Tonight on ESPN and ESPN2. Welcome back, everyone, to Burlington. Incredible field here down to the final 2, and really an incredible stage set between these 2 Hall of Famers. They've won a total of 50 titles, 43 combined years on tour. The question is, who can emerge?
Well, you know how I am with predictions, so I'm not even going to bother. But you're right. You can't script it any better than this. PDW show against the great Brian Voss. There's going to be fireworks in the title match.
Voss has 1 title this year. Pete has not won, but he tries to defend a title for the first time ever here in Burlington. Our Geico Direct Championship recap.
In our wild card match, it was Ryan Shafer taking care of Mike Wolfe. Beautiful strike there. The score was 216, 194. And in semifinal number 1, the great one, Ryan Voss needs a spare to beat Steve Jaros. Look out! Just enough. Voss finished late with a 4-bagger, staying clean, taking care of Steve Jaros. And the match you just saw, PDW. Strikes like that, 6 of them, was far too much for Ryan Shafer, which sets the stage for the big showdown.
Our Geico Direct Championship recap. These two are the oldest amongst the final 5 here today. The most experience and far and away the most career titles. Now they match up head-to-head when we return. Who will emerge amongst the 2 Hall of Famers? Will it be Brian Voss looking for his 2nd title this season? Or PDW, Pete Weber? They match up when we come back. Last week at the Via Bowling Open in Orlando, Florida, Battle of Southpaws, Jason Couch and Chris Hayden made it to the championship match. Couch would leave back-to-back 7 pins in the 8th and 9th frames, leaving the door open for Chris Hayden to become the 6th first-time winner on tour this year, also becoming only the 2nd player behind our very own Randy Peterson to go undefeated in match play. Unforgettable day for Chris Hayden. Certainly no first-time winners here with Brian Voss and Pete Weber as we're set for the championship match. Brian, at the start of this week, you said you wanted Pete Weber in this final match. Now you have a chance to take on your fellow Hall of Famer. How can you respond?
Well, I love bowling against great bowlers. You get a lot more pleasure out of beating the best. That's what I wanted. That's why I'm here, and I think that's what the fans wanted.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Pete, Randy asked you earlier about not defending a championship in your great career until this point. What would it mean in terms of the significance to finally defend a championship?
Well, first and foremost, the title comes before anything else. So right now, I'm just thinking about going out and making the best shots I can to win this title. When I come to, if I get the chance to be a defending champion again, we'll cross that road when it comes.
Best of luck, Pete. Randy, what a treat. 2 Hall of Famers head-to-head. We don't see that often in a TV final.
And you think Chico Valenzuela and his lovely wife Robin are excited about this next match? Thank you both very much for a wonderful week here. And get ready, folks, because it's about to go down. Brian Voss will start the match, which means he will finish the match. Remember his win in Memphis. He thrives on getting up in the 10th frame, finishing, and throwing the shots he needs to win.
He asked for this moment. How can he respond? Double wood. 3-9 comes in high.
Not a good opening shot for Brian. That ball was left out of his hand, leaving the 3-9. Sticking with that same high friction bowling ball. And of course, the last time I said somebody was 100% on spares, they missed the 4-pin.
The curse of Randy by Brian. The curse of the Randino.
The curse of the Randino. Very nice. I like that.
$28 career titles. Almost $2.5 million amongst the incredible accolades. 6 majors. And a good start. Trips out the 4-pin. Hopes for a 7th major in the World Championship in 2 weeks.
See, Pete Weber had the higher average, even though Brian Voss did what he did in match play. Pete Weber, for the 18 games of qualifying, qualified number 2. Knocked down a lot more pins in qualifying. Pete's spare conversion a little shaky, though. 81.6.
5th time, Randy, they've matched up on TV. And the 3rd time with a title on the line. Oh, 10 pin somehow doesn't fall with a late messenger.
This looks like a beautiful shot, clean off his hand, out to about the 8th board. Watch it come sawing back, leaving the late 10. The difference between what Pete Weber's doing at release and Brian Voss, Pete's rotating around the side, Brian's hand is much more up the back. What that translates to in the day, Ryan, is that Pete can go around it a lot more Brian is going to have to use a little bit straighter line unless he starts rotating around the side as well.
There's the approach.
Hello.
He didn't like that ball. Was that a flight attendant? Ball by?
No, that was just a stone 9 that got tripped. You can see, even though Brian is playing in, he's going much more direct through the front part of the lane. Pete's going sideways through the front part as Brian's leaning, begging, and then he finally gets the nice break, tripping the 9.
And he leads the league in this. He's done that how many times today?
Nice.
3 or 4, I think we've seen it.
You see the difference of the change of direction down the lane. Brian Voss doesn't get near the back end that Pete Weber is getting simply because of what each guy is doing with their hand at release. Brian's more roll, Pete Weber's more side turn.
Covers the mark nicely. So the amateurs competing at the Tar Heel Open this week. Jeff Wilson of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, not far from where we are here in Burlington. Billy Lucas from Siler City, excuse me. And TJ Jones of Danville, Virginia. All doing their best as amateurs this week in North Carolina. Third frame for Pete, works on a spare. Doesn't get help with the messenger across the deck.
Watch his release. That hand is going to go flipping around the side of the ball right there. That gets the ball to push right. Fingers were a little clutched, trying to hit it, leaving the late 10 pin.
Come on now.
Remember, we've got to watch for Pete Weber's hand being open at release. That's when his hand and release are the cleanest. With today's modern equipment, you don't lift on the bowling ball anymore. You open that hand and you get your hand out of it fast and clean. Thumb first, fingers last.
You saw the shot clock moments ago. Another player being threatened.
Open hand.
Release. He broke that down perfectly, Randy. And a perfect delivery for Weber. Flush in the pocket as he shreds the rack. A strike in his 4th frame. He and Brian Voss are battling for a PBA Tour title here in Burlington, North Carolina. Who emerges? We'll find out next week. Here in Burlington, North Carolina for this week's stop. Next week we're off to Louisville, Kentucky. The PBA returning to that fine city for a 5th time. 52-lane center, executive strike and spare right next to the airport, not far from Churchill Downs, University of Louisville campus. Freedom Hall right across the street. One personal bowl, and the Odor Eaters split with $1 million promotion as well. Tune in. We'll tell you all about it next week on ESPN. Brian Voss, 4th frame championship match. Winner takes home $40,000 and valuable points. Very critical for Voss right now, the way he stands. And a march to the World Championship, and there's some help for the 4. Walter Ray Williams Jr. has clinched a spot, as have Barnes, Duke, DeLutz, and Ryan Shafer. Pete Weber in 7th place heading into today's matches. But with Voss still in there, he needs to win this tournament and fare very well in Louisville to make the top 8. It's going to be a challenge. The points on the line today, $25,000. It all goes up, though, in 2 weeks, along with big bucks in Taylor, Michigan. Light.
To me, just a piece of equipment that does not return and does not allow him to open the lanes up. And Brian's more than capable of creating hook and throwing the ball right and having it get back. And I think there's an equipment issue. During the break, we were arguing back and forth, Paul Kaler, Nick Hogan, myself. There's got to be an issue with Brian Voss's equipment.
Trying to stay perfect. Multi-pins, fair conversion rate, not there. Head pin in the 10, stay up. So Brian Voss, and what could be an absolutely devastating open frame for him in the 5th. Pete works on a strike. 5th frame for him now. Strike here, he's up 23 pins.
Pete taking advantage of that strike. Now watch what he does with his hand. This was a shot where he left the weak 10. You see the fingers are going the other direction. Watch the next shot where the ball is perfectly dead flush. Now watch his fingers right there. You can see all 5 of them. Watch for Pete to open that hand. That tells you how clean the release is.
Sixth frame. Shreds the rack again. The emphatic response almost knocks the sunglasses off his face.
Almost knocked himself out. Here's where you're going to get a massive adrenaline rush, and Pete Weber's going to show you what it means to throw big shots under big-time pressure.
He's got a 3-bagger. The 4th, 5th, and 6th. Now Voss responds to the open frame. Drifts high. Lots of trouble. 4-7-10 up.
4-7-10. Bad ball reaction for Brian Voss. Confused. Got to get the ball over here. Drive the 4 into the 10.
Hey. Oh, wow. Across the deck, nearly tripped out that 10.
In the first match that Brian Voss bowled, he didn't look very comfortable. As you see how close he comes to making this. He wasn't comfortable with his reaction. He manufactured something. Got his ball to face the 1-3 pocket. A game later, ball reaction's gone and unsure of which direction to go in.
Digging a larger and larger hole for himself as Voss. Lane 17, hoping for a better response. 2-pin up, and it's going to be nearly impossible to come back now on Pete. Needed a win today to get past $2 million in his career. So much before the matches this afternoon here in Burlington, it would be a very special accomplishment. But unless he can make a miraculous turnaround and Pete completely falls flat on his face. Strike here for Weber. He's got a 54-pin lead, looking for a 4-bagger. 7th frame. It's been a while since Pete Weber has won. Right here in Burlington. More than a year ago. 4 straight.
Ever since working with John Jowdy at the Masters in early January, Pete Weber's been bowling phenomenally 3 out of the last 4 weeks of telecast. Great showing at the U.S. Open under brutal conditions. And now Pete Weber looking to close the door on Brian Voss.
Strike here, he's up 64 pins. 8th frame for Pete. Gets a little help with a 6. And the lead expands again.
And you think it's Pete's turn or what? That ball crosses over, goes Brooklyn. He trips the 6-pin out. Some weeks it just doesn't matter what you do. It's your week to win. And this is Pete Weber's week.
Best ball today for Voss in this championship match, certainly. Still, he's
Ain't
got
over yet.
huge deficit. He plays with the crowd a bit.
Well, Brian.
Better strike on this one.
Well, Brian, it kind of is. Petey's going at 239 pace. The best Brian Voss can shoot is 205.
Foundation frame for Voss. Coming to you from the Tar Heel Open, Burlington, North Carolina, Country Club Lanes West. Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, our entire PBA, ESPN crew, going to Aspen, Colorado for the Winter X Games next on ESPN. But Pete first wants to take care of business, and he has won a title, and for the first time in his great career has defended a PBA Tour Championship. Hard to believe. Brian Voss having fun with Pete now.
We're going to have to change the name here to Pete Weber Lanes, I think.
Right.
Fast track to the end since this one is over. And what a week for Pete Weber.
Good to see you on TV now.
Thanks. Good to see you too.
29th career title. That moves him up the list. 4th all-time with Parker Ball III. Victory number 29 in his great career.
Yeah.
Say happy birthday.
Keeping me out of the TSC.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday again, Debbie. Right. He's in the house. Really? Hi, BD. Nice bowling again.
That was fun. Fun.
See y'all.
February 10th of 2002, the last time Pete Weber won a PBA title. Until now, he has finally defended a championship. Takes care of Voss in the finals today. ESPN's exclusive live coverage of the PBA Tar Heel Open is brought to you by Dexter, the #1 bowling shoe in the world. What's your size? By Miller High Life, live simply, proudly, boldly, manly. This is the highlight. And by Geico Direct, the sensible alternative. Something Pete Weber had never done before, defend a PBA championship, and he's done that in Burlington today. So now you've finally accomplished the feat. How does it feel?
I think it's a great feeling. Like you said, it's the first time I've ever defended a title before successfully, and damn it, does it feel great. It just feels so good to know I can come back to Burlington, North Carolina next year. I'm the defending champion again.
Congratulations on a great week.
Thanks. Thanks, Star, for making the #1 balls in the world. Yeah!
PDW is a champion again. The updated point list, Walter Ray Williams Jr. still a leader, but Pete Weber up to more than 207,000, trying to make that top 8 and the round of 16 of the season-ending World Championship, the Super 16 in Taylor, Michigan. So congratulations goes out to Pete Weber. Join us next week for the PBA Odor Eaters Open from Louisville for the 2003 Winter X Games 7. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Now for the entire crew, my partner Randy Peterson. It's Dave Ryan saying so long from Burlington, North Carolina, the man of the moment.